Start with Ross Pearson, if we could. Ross, obviously an incredible performance from you tonight. You've had a lot of inconsistent, performances as of late. What was the key tonight, and where do you rank this, honestly, all time in terms of your performances?
I think this was my most mature performance. Listening to my coaches, we knew Paul's a tough guy. He's got the ability to put guys away. We knew he had that danger factor about him, so just staying focused, staying on the game plan, staying mature, and listening to my coaches. I was pleased with my performance and the way I handled it. I didn't get too crazy, didn't get too excited looking for the killer blow all the time. I made him miss, I made him pay, I countered him, and I stuck to the game plan.
I know you want to build some momentum off this win, but it sounds like you've got a vacation coming up first. So what's the immediate plan, and then what do you think moving forward? Immediate
plan, yeah, is just rest up. This is my third fight this year, but I want to keep fighting. Whenever the UFC want to put us back in, I'm ready to go. I love fighting. I love competing for the UFC. I want to get better. And anyone that they put in front of us, I'm ready to go. I just want to improve my career, improve on my opponents, and get to the top, man.
Thanks, Ross. If I could for Anthony, please. Big win for you tonight. Obviously, you wanted to get back in the win column. Talk about your performance overall. It reverted to wrestling in the first round, and then were they able to get it done with striking in the second?
I don't know. I felt great. Working with Neil Melanson has been amazing, and he's just brought my game to a whole nother level. I can tell that Jimmy was worried, because Thursday when we had our stare down, we faced off, and I saw his hands shaking a little bit, so I knew I was in his head. But, he could have been nervous then and still be ready to fight, tonight. So I just had to go out there and do what I do.
And pretty emotional as you left the cage. You had a message for the media as you walked by. I know what you're referring to. You had kind of a rough build up to this, but you said to all of us,
I thought it wasn't rough. I was fine.
Okay.
You guys weren't fine.
Fair enough. Well, I was going to ask you an opportunity to expand on that now here in front of everybody. It was a brief message, hey, write about this. Do you feel like you've been treated unfairly and people are a little too harsh on you?
Like I said before, you guys are going to write whatever you want to write. A lot of you guys write a lot of bullshit, but that's what you do. That's what you have to do to get paid, and I'm fine with that. But if you're going to write something bad, also write something good.
Thanks, Anthony. And just lastly, if I could, for John Lineker, an incredible performance tonight. Is it what he expected in his debut to stand toe-to-toe with guys that should be bigger than he is by moving up a class?
Performance impressionante. Você, é isso que você espera de encarar pessoas, lutadores maior que você e encaixar com eles, entrar ali no coisa e sair na mão com eles?
Com certeza, é o que eu venho fazendo, né? É o que eu gosto de fazer quando eu entro ali. Sou pago para isso e toda vez que eu entrar ali vai ser desse jeito.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. That's the way I like to fight, and that's what I'm paid for, and I'm going to keep on doing it.
And the last question I have for him, he did look really small in there, even in the bantamweight division. Is there any thought at all of trying to go down to flyweight ever again, or is this his final home in the UFC?
Você realmente pareceu pouquinho pequeno em comparação ao seu oponente. Você quer tentar de novo o peso mosca ou você vai ficar nesse peso aí?
Por enquanto eu quero focar, né, nessa nova etapa, né, da minha carreira agora e dar o meu melhor sempre. Mas o fato de ficar pouco pequeno, isso não interfere em nada para mim.
I always want to give my best. I want to start this new phase of my career, and I don't think that size is really going to matter that much.
Question for Paige. Paige, did you feel like your aggressiveness and your relentlessness just kind of wore Alex down tonight?
Yeah, I definitely do. I don't think a lot of girls in my division are used to being having the pace pushed that way, and that's definitely something I get from my teammates. They always push me every second, so that's kind of the way I fight. I push the pace right from the get-go.
And that armbar, can you take us through the finish and sort of, how it felt to finish the fight the way you did?
Yeah, of course it felt awesome to get the finish. I was kind of avoiding being on the ground with her. She was a purple belt. That was something that I kind of was hesitant going on the ground with her for. But I'm really, really comfortable on the ground. I should have had a little bit more confidence in myself on the ground. Once I saw the opening, she went up to block her face, and I just saw it was there, and I went for it.
And I wonder if you can comment, you know, so many people write and they call you the next Ronda Rousey, and that's putting a lot of pressure on you where, you know, one of the greatest fighters in the UFC, comparing you to. So how do you keep that out of your mind and just try to, you know, you're a young fighter and try to progress and not, you know, kind of compare yourself to the greatest fighter out there?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's much of a compliment for people to even say that, but those are definitely huge shoes to fill, and I have a long way before I can make that comparison. But I mean, I'm thankful that people see that, and I definitely want to follow in her footsteps. She's opened some great doors for women in all athletics, and especially women in the UFC and in MMA. So I just think of it as a compliment. It's not pressure added or anything like that. It's just a compliment.
Was it true that you were nervous when you first met her and that you couldn't speak when you shook hands with her?
Yeah, definitely. When I first met her, I was nervous, especially, you know, she's Ronda Rousey. I met her at a Reebok photo shoot, so I saw her walk in and nerves rose, but I made sure I went over, shook her hand, and she gave me a compliment on my last fight, and didn't really know what else to say other than, hey.
I think that's kind of how Rumble was with Cormier, right? Dana, I just wondered, first of all, if you can comment on Paige's performance, and do you think it's one of those things you got to, you know, take it slow because people want to rush her, and she's only, you know, 21, 22 years old, that needs to take some time?
Yeah, no, I agree. She has all the attributes of a little rock star, man. She's got a great personality. She's absolutely relentless when she fights. She moves forward. She puts Mighty Mouse type pressure on fighters. And yesterday she was the most searched fighter on UFC.com. I mean, people love her. All of her sponsors were all sitting around cage side with their phones out filming her when she walked out, and she's got it, man. She's got it. She's got to put in the hard work and keep her head together. And you know, I mean, it's when you ask, you know, do you take it easy with her? She's ranked number 7 and she's dominating. It's hard to hold somebody back like that. You know, when she fights, you see that she's definitely green and she's young, but she's relentless and she's scrappy and she wins, man.
And then last question, you know, was it disappointing to you as a fight fan? You know, Demetrius Johnson is so freaking good, and you hear people booing him, and it was like such a flawless performance against a pretty good guy, and yet he's getting booed. And,
yeah,
you know, I know the fans have the right to do whatever they want. They pay their money, but
you're always going to have drunk dummies out there that, you know, we're at the last 5 rounds of, you know, these guys have been here since 5:30 drinking. I don't know what they expect. But he looked unbelievable tonight. Anybody who knows anything about the sport, Dodson was the guy to fight. This was the fight. You know, Dodson has the power, the speed. He had the, you know, the experience. He's been in there with him before. Demetrius Johnson dominated him tonight and absolutely destroyed him. He didn't get the finish like I'm sure he wanted very badly. But, and you guys don't get to hear it in media row, but when you listen to Hume talk to him in between rounds and the way that he responds to Hume and the things that are said back and forth, it's fascinating. Demetrius Johnson is an incredible fighter, and he looked amazing tonight.
Thanks. First question for Paige. In light of what you just heard Dana say, I wanted to ask you, revisit the whole idea of being a title contender. You've obviously said that you're fine with being patient, you want to improve, continue working your way up. Given the fact that you're in the top 10, you keep winning, how long do you think you can keep on winning and not get a title shot? And if it happens sooner than maybe you're thinking about it, do you think you'd be fine with that?
You know, when the title shot's ready, or when the title shot's there for me, I definitely will be ready for it. But of course, I'm not gonna rush anything. You know, this is my time in the UFC. This is my career, and I want to enjoy every second of it. It's just such a blessing for me to be a part of the UFC. So I'm going to enjoy every second. Of course, I'm going to listen to the UFC. Whatever they think is the next step for me, I'm going to listen to them.
Cool. Thanks. I got a question for Ross as well. Ross, you said that you felt this was your most mature performance. Was that patience and ability the result of a real conscious decision in your training camps? And if so, was it hard to do, given that you're such an aggressive fighter? Was it tough to say, I'm going to be tactical and patient at points?
Yeah, it was so hard to hold back. My coaches was telling us to settle all the time, and I was just biting down on my gum shield, just saying, like, fuck, just let's go, let's let go. But I kept my head together. I stayed focused. I was thinking a lot more. I wasn't just, let's have it, you know. I know Paul can finish guys, finish opponents, and I had to be aware of that. I didn't want to just go in there all crazy and get caught, you know. It's happened before in the past. And, you know, that's probably some of the reasons why I've gone win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. You know, I get a little bit reckless at times. I get a little bit too eager to knock someone out. And that's probably my own downfall. So it was definitely hard to stay patient, stay relaxed. But it got the win, you know. It got the job done. And we had a good fight.
Thanks. Got one last question for Andre. Here to your left. Congratulations on the win. You said afterwards that you thought it was going to be an easier fight than it was. It was a good fight. You guys both fought well and hard. I'm just curious if you can talk about why you thought it was going to be easier, and maybe what things you thought you would be able to do that you weren't, or what things he did that you didn't think he was going to.
To be honest with you, I thought he's going to give me a really hard time first minute or two of first round, but he kept coming, and he took me down a couple times, and I was, for some reason, I was really tired, but I took lessons, and definitely next fight's going to be better.
Question for Ross Pearson. Ross, you paid Paul Felder an interesting compliment at the end of the fight, because you said you could see the two of you actually fighting a trilogy, which first of all would indicate that you could see yourself fighting another close fight, possibly losing a second one if you follow the logic, and then meeting in the third. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a fighter say something like that. So my question is, you know, what do you see in the matchup with him that tells you that you could be running into him a second time? Maybe that one might not even go your way, but it's going to be close, and then you may encounter each other a third time.
Yeah, you know, it's clash of styles. You know, he's got power. He's got everything to do to take opponents out. You know. I think if we put in an 8-week training camp, things could have go a little bit different. I think I would have been a little bit sharper, a little bit more willing to exchange a little bit more. But yeah, it's just clash of styles and clashes of opponents. I could just see it. I know in his face after the fight, you know, it was a close fight, and I knew that he was frustrated with himself, you know. So it was a compliment to Paul, saying that, you know, that was a good fight, and he took it to the end. You know, I was impressed with how much he pressed and the shots that he was taking to keep coming back. So I'm willing for him to take another fight, win a fight, and then we'll get back after it and then see what happens again.
Question for Anthony Johnson. Anthony, you gave a lot of credit to Neil Melanson in your post-fight comments, the addition of the grappling coach to the Black Zillions. So often when a coach is added to an existing camp, he's credited for adding something that wasn't there previously. But you had a wrestling background. You've got a grappling background. Is this a case of maybe reawakening something and sharpening something that you already had, but maybe to a new level?
Yeah, Neil definitely opened up my mind. He brought back, you know, some things that I was doing in the past that I kind of got away from. And once again, man, if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be the same guy that fought last time. And each and every fight, I try to get better and better.
And finally, a couple of questions for Dana White. Dana, you know, periodically when we see a dominant champion and he fights and defeats an opponent twice, or she in the case of Ronda Rousey, there's a glass ceiling that we talk about. You know, there's two in the division now with Joe Benavidez, and now John Dodson has had 2 shots at the title. From a promoter's standpoint, is that proverbial glass ceiling as much of a thing as we make it out to be? I know recently you put Misha aside for the Holly Holm fight against Ronda. Is that something that you prioritize in your mind, the idea of that you've had 2 shots, it's hard to promote a third?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to have somebody go in for a third fight. It's tough. Unless you really work your way back up to it. And you know, the right fight to make was Holly Holm. That was the right fight to make. You know, Misha's tough, Misha's durable, but we've seen the Misha fight twice. We've seen how that fight ends. Part of being a fight fan, I think, is, you know, that 10 days leading up to the fight when you start talking about the attributes of both fighters and you start breaking down the fight. Holly Holm, originally, if you remember back when we didn't have Holly Holm, people were screaming for us to sign Holly Holm to fight Ronda Rousey. And now she's here, and she's the most decorated, you know, striker in the sport. And she's accomplished all these things, and she's undefeated in mixed martial arts. It's the fight to make. She's got the height, the reach.
And
was that to me? That was weird.
It's on the hallway.
All right. Go ahead.
Last question for you then, Dana. I want to ask you your thoughts on the co-main event. When we get a fight like that, we end up arguing about the scorecards and, was it split, who scored at 30-27 and all that sort of thing. Your thoughts in terms of, did it look to you like Andre did enough to stay in that conversation where, he could just be in the next title shot if things were to play out the right way after Velasquez and Verdum? And also, did you feel like Mir showed enough that he continues to fight top 10 opponents?
What Andre's done coming back into the UFC and going on the run that he's gone on, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, the judges gave him the decision tonight in this fight, and his fight against Travis Brown was unbelievable. I don't know if many people picked Arlovsky in that fight, but he's been on an incredible run, and unfortunately, this heavyweight division is tied up right now, and the fight won't happen probably till March, the next heavyweight fight, but we'll see how this thing plays out, and we'll go from there. Mir lost tonight. We won't be talking about him as far as the title. Arlovsky beat him tonight, so. Thoughts on his performance? Well, for these guys, to still be here doing what they're doing, it's impressive. I don't think the fight tonight was the fight that everybody expected, but sometimes it doesn't turn out that way.
A question for John Dodson over here. I know you obviously were very confident going into this fight, and it's rather fresh, but can you at least discuss why you think it didn't go your way, and perhaps why you had more success in the first fight than the second fight?
I had more success in the first fight because both of us were going in there not knowing what each other's strengths were. This time we went in there more cautious. He was more intelligent this time. I was trying to defend more takedowns, and he was just trying to push that pace, and DJ did a wonderful job about that. Like, he came at me, and my hat's off to him. I can't sit there and badmouth him because this man's still the champion, and he did something that everyone saw him doing. I couldn't stop him. I stopped his takedowns, and I'm excited I actually got 3. Yeah. So I'm keeping on the high notes, you guys. Like I might not have been the champion, but in my eyes, I sat there and improved from the last time that we, me and him, fought. The both of us have evolved, and we've shown that. We've shown that he has more aggressive power coming at me, and he landed a lot more shots. Look at my face. I look like a monster. I look like Dos Anjos. But hindsight, I can come back learning stronger, and since everybody keeps on talking about this glass roof, this glass ceiling, I'm gonna break through it. I'm gonna make sure that I can come back and come back stronger. If Dana gives me the opportunity to go ahead and beat up a bunch of people that seem worthy to fight Demetrius, I will do it, and I'll make sure I can make another title run at this again.
And for DJ, since that first fight, you've said at these press conferences, multiple fights, we'd bring up John's name, you would get a little agitated, you would talk about new challenges, new opponents. Now that you've beat him twice, is it extremely satisfying that you probably don't have to hear that question for a long time?
Yeah, I would say so, and especially how much he was saying about I was a plague, I'm a boring fighter and all that stuff. So for me, I don't let it get to me emotionally, but I know each time we would have a stare down, I could feel the emotions coming from him. So, that fight's behind me. It was a great fight. Me and John Dodson went out there and we had a good fight, and I wanted to make sure I pushed him and make him work. And now it's on to the next one. That's how I look at all my fights. When I go for my 8th title defense, just another fight. If I beat that guy, next one, 9, 10, 11, 12, 500, just another fight.
And I know you're very critical of your performances. Were you happy with this one?
Yeah, there are a couple things I was doing, but like he said, my coaches really try to ingrain in me, whatever you do in this sport, you're wrong. So each time, he did a really good job of defending the clinch. So each time he did that, he would gas. I knew after the first round, I can tell that he was really starting to work. Each time I kept the pressure on him, I didn't really jump on him. The first time I fought him, Matt was like, dude, you're being way too impatient. Just be patient, keep the distance on him, and throw the right hand. And then after the rounds, Matt was like, dude, you're way faster than him. That right hand's landing. Just keep making him work. So it was a good fight, but I had to go home and watch it. And there's some stuff. My ultimate goal was to finish him. I knew I had the cardio to finish him, but I just couldn't get to that point. So
Dana, 2 quick questions for you. You just mentioned the heavyweight title fight being sort of delayed till March. Is there any particular reason why? Is Verdum hurt or
That's
something?
when Verdum wants to fight.
Okay. And quick side note, because we couldn't really talk about it yesterday, but it was a pretty fascinating scene there with, you know, all these great fighters and one fighter in particular, this lone wolf, kind of taking shots at everyone, and Conor McGregor. What did you make of that whole scene? And I know you spoke to him a couple times. What were you saying to him throughout all that?
I told him that his zipper was down.
That's it?
No, yeah, that's it. Everybody thought that I was talking to him about telling him to calm down. His zipper was down.
And
everybody always reads into it and thinks there's like some crazy conversations going on up here. Yeah. He was jumping up talking shit to everybody, and his zipper was down.
Did you enjoy it? Did you like what, you know, it was very entertaining to watch one guy kind of take shots at all.
I mean, it's Conor. I mean, that's who he is. It's not shocking. He was definitely on fire yesterday, you know, but that's him.
Question for DJ here on your right. It looked like you and John sort of exchanged some words, had some things to say after the fight. Do you care to share what was said?
Yeah, I just walked up and said, hey, congratulations. Congratulations to being a father. It's the best thing that's ever going to happen to you in the world. And I said, even though you talk shit about me, I respect you as a man. And that was it.
You've been active as a champion. You've said one of the things you want to do is be the most active champion. You're sort of left right now without an immediate challenger. Do you foresee taking time off? Is this where you go back to Dana and Lorenzo and start maybe talking about bantamweight?
We've had a conversation about bantamweight in the office. He might not remember. I do, clear as day. But no, I'm not going to take any time off. You know, I'm going to go have a little vacation with me and my wife and the kids. I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm so excited to get my gi back on and start learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm still a white belt. And, you know, it's all about, for me, learning. And I have the great coaches in the world, Brad Kurtzen and Matt Hume, that are always pushing me to learn. And they're going to work me. So I'm excited to get in there and spar those guys and get beat up.
And Dana, for you, just in regards to what's next for DJ, obviously can't make it any fight announcements or anything now, but he sort of has started to clean out this division, and 2 wins over Dodson, 2 over Joe Benavidez. Do you start looking at maybe, you know, one-off fights at bantamweight and giving him a different challenge, or do you just keep kind of promoting the next flyweight up?
Yeah, there's always a contender, man, and we are working on something right now. And when it happens, you'll agree.
Fair enough.
All right.
And I'll be ready for it.
Dana, with the division, the bantamweight division, like we have Dominic Cruz hurt and Rafael Assunção hurt. With Lineker's performance tonight, do you think he's kind of close to a title shot?
Who?
Lineker.
Do I think he's close?
Yes.
We'll see. I don't know. Is he close? I don't know. He looked good. He looked unbelievable tonight. He won fight of the night. Take one more question, if there is one more question. There we go.
For John, it was, you know, obviously you had this week. You were expecting the baby to come next week. You had to fly home after doing some stuff Monday. How much of a distraction was that for you? And just how was this week for you kind of leading up to this fight with everything else going on in your life?
I can't blame anything that's gone on this whole week, calling it a distraction or motivation. The only thing is that I came out here, I performed my best, and I did everything that I needed to do. I'm excited that I got to see and hold my baby for the first time. And not only that, I got to celebrate my mom's birthday yesterday. So it was awesome. Like, I had a tremendous week. Even tonight was still an amazing night. I might not have gone my way, but it's still exciting. I saw millions of fans out there still cheering me on, saying that I'm awesome. And everybody gave me daps. There's nothing wrong with what happened today besides Demetrius Johnson still being the champion. He's still a great fighter. I didn't win this fight. Next time I'm coming out a lot stronger and a lot harder. Like, you guys will see me back again with a better face, looking sexy as ever.
Boom. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.